And thank you, Mr. Speaker and members, for a very, very good debate today on probably what is our most important vote this far this session for our work ahead, because it really is a path, a parting in the roads between two visions for the state of Minnesota moving forward, and also two paths moving ahead for the conclusion of session. We're talking about two distinctly different visions, one in which we fund our priorities within our means, ones in which we have tax increases to fund continued growth. And we've had this debate all session, and it's continued here today on the floor in a very good and lively debate. One of the things that we have looked at is how much are we really going to grow government, and do we need a tax increase to do so? That's a very good discussion that we've had. Figures have been brought around. Representative Winkler said, where's your 22% budget? Where is this 22% budget? And went around and asked some of our fiscal chairs where the 22% budget is. Well, I've got the answer. We don't have one. We have a budget that raises revenues about 6% because that's what the taxpayers have given us. And Representative Lincheski, you said, think about your constituents when you cast this vote. Think about your constituents. And I would ask everybody to do so. And when I do that, a lot of people talk about door knocking and talking to their constituents door to door. And really for me, when I go door knocking, I'm kind of disturbing people, and they're usually just kind of happy to see me go on, but they're happy that I'm there as well. And when I think about my constituents, I think about Cub Foods on Curve Crest in Stillwater. There's a Cub Foods, a great big Cub Foods. There's a Target and a Payless shoe store. And when people who know me know I like to cook and I like to shop. And when I go to Cub, I spend a long time in Cub, and I buy ice cream last because people tend to run into me and talk to me. And I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he said, well, how much more money do you have? Well, I said, well, last time we had, between 30 and 32 billion, depending on whether or not you count the stimulus. And this time we're going to have about $34 billion more. And the governor wants to spend about $37 billion with a tax increase. And he said, whoa, wait. You mean the state actually has more money now than it had in the last biennium? And I said, yeah. And he said, and you're looking at raising taxes to grow government even more in this economy? That's crazy. And I said, well, I think good people can disagree on that, but I think common sense says that you spend about what you're taking in. 34 is kind of between 32 and 37. That makes some sense. We're looking at spending about 6% more. That, most people think that we could be able to fund our priorities within our means. That's what we have moving ahead. But what the governor's proposing is a tax increase on people who can really use the money that they have to create jobs. And Representative Winkler brought up S corporations, and I'm glad he did, because Representative Fabian has a great S corporation in his district, Thief River Falls, just north of Bemidji, where you grew up, Representative Winkler. I think there's around 7,000 people, give or take, in that town. This one company has over 2,000 employees. 2,000 employees with a subchapter S corporation. This is not a plastic surgeon with a Gulfstream jet that flies around for pleasure. This is a guy who built a company, and he lives to create jobs in Minnesota, and he could be just about anywhere in the country where there's a big airport. And he is fighting like mad to keep jobs in this state. And he says this will kill jobs for Thief River Falls, for his company, and it will hurt him in trying to stay in business in this state. I talked to another great employer from Representative Anderson's district, who has employees, hundreds of employees all over the state of Minnesota, in the 5-state area, does business all over the world, and he is fighting like mad for every job. He had to lay off 80 people in Representative Nornis's district, and he started crying when he started talking about these jobs because they meant a lot to him. This is about jobs. This is about competitiveness. This is about moving forward, and it's about two vastly different approaches. Members, this is very, very important because moving forward, we have a week to go. Governor Dayton is still clinging to this idea that we need to raise taxes on the very wealthy people just to grow government on principle, is threatening a special session and potentially shut down for a tax increase on principle. Members, we have a duty to pass our budget and to do so with the best interests of the state of Minnesota. I went back and I read, I was sitting right here and the governor was right there where the chief clerk is sitting now. He was standing and he delivered the State of the State address, and I said, can we afford his goals and do we agree with his values and principles? And you know what? We probably agree on 80 to 90% of the values and principles that Governor Dayton stood there and delivered in his State of the State address. And we can pay for it with $34 billion, and we have enough disappointment to spread around so everybody can be a little bit disappointed next week. We can do that. We can put the best interests of Minnesota first. It's what we got sent here to do. Please, for once, help us move the governor off of this one sticking point so that we can come together and negotiate a successful end of this session. Please vote no.